listening to Kingston Community Radio on WGHQ Kingston. On your radio at 920 AM and 92.5 FM, and also online at mykcr.org.
Long ago, you wouldn't think of galloping on a horse while doing calligraphy, and you wouldn't have attempted to ride your bike while typing a letter. Yet you think you can safely operate a multi-ton vehicle while texting? Behind the wheel is no place to multitask. If you want to BRB, drive now and text later. Lives depend on it.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org, a message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, Noise, and the Ad Council.
Hi, I'm Kelsey Grammer. Wounded Warrior Project supports injured veterans by connecting them with fellow warriors, by serving them through mental health and wellness programs, and by empowering them to live on their own terms. No one should face a battle alone. Join us at woundedwarriorproject.org.
There was this one time I went snorkeling in the Caribbean when I was a kid. It really just blew my mind. We saw the most beautiful corals. I remember thinking they were waving at us as they moved with the ocean. And then there were all these amazing fish. I'll never forget it. It completely changed the way I look at the ocean.
Most of us have a memory of being in nature we'll never forget. Let's protect the world's natural places so more memories can be made for generations to come. Visit worldwildlife.org.
Hi, this is Jared Mans from the Spring Lake Fire Department, and I support Kingston Community Radio, and so should you.
This portion of Kingston Community Radio is brought to you by Ulster Savings Bank. Visit their newest branch, conveniently located at the Ulster Commons Plaza in Lake Katrine. Experience the difference that local community banking offers with the convenience of another great location, easy access, plenty of parking, and a 24-hour ATM. Ulster Savings Bank, invested in community, invested in you. Member FDIC.
All right, the last day of 2021. I actually have already flipped the calendar. I almost said 22. Good morning, Dan.
Lawrence, good morning, and certainly happy to turn the page on this year.
You know, last year when we were sitting here, I think it was me and Tony Marmo and Scott Harrington, or I forget who was on the last day of the year last year. I think it was a Thursday because Christmas was on a Friday last year, and so was New Year's. So, yeah, it was on a Thursday. And we were sitting here, we're like, 2021 should be, way better as far as COVID and out of the house. And if you look back, we're kind of in the same situation, COVID-wise, that we were in last year. I'm hoping that next year at this time when we're having the show, that it'll be a little better. But
yeah, unfortunately, New York State broke a record yesterday.
Yeah, I heard that.
Highest single day cases of COVID, yet we're still in lockdown.
Right. And that record that we broke was one of the ones that was bigger than when the pandemic was in full effect, right? Is that
correct?
Yeah.
And to think about, I said to friends of mine, who would have ever thought Andrew Cuomo would go down?
I know. I didn't think it was going to happen.
And I was shocked when he did. And somebody had said to me, "Well, what do you think of this new mayor? We don't know anything, or governor. What do we know about her?" He said, "I don't know anything about her." He said, "She can't be worse than Cuomo."
Worse. She's way worse.
Yeah, she proved me wrong in about 10 days.
Yeah. When she first came out, her first statement after being inaugurated or whatever was, her first thing she said was pushing Biden's, her first public statement, pushing Biden's agenda through Congress. Like, you couldn't have said something better. Like, New York's got a bunch of problems that needs to be fixed. But the first thing on your agenda is pushing Biden's agenda through Congress? Come on.
And the mask police will go nuts. But we're walking around wearing masks, and we have the highest cases anywhere in the country on record yesterday.
I know. When I saw that on the news last night, I was like, is that... I almost thought it was false news. I was shocked to hear that. Me and Cameron Rylance flew to Florida in the beginning of December to go see the Giants play the Dolphins. We had bought the tickets back in July. I know. We bought the tickets back in July thinking, hey, warm weather, get out of New York, go down to Florida for the weekend. The Giants are going to be good this year. Obviously, we were dead wrong. Glennon played that day and it was terrible. The weather was nice. We did have a great time for 4 days, but my point is 30% of Florida is vaccinated. There's nobody, most of the state is Republican. Nobody's vaccinated down there. Nobody wears masks down there. The only place you got to wear a mask is in the airport when you're leaving, coming or going. Right. You don't have to even wear a mask in Uber when you're Ubering around down there. And they don't have a spike in cases. Now, either they're lying and they're not reporting cases. I mean,
Well, I don't think there's any reason to think they're lying.
I'm not. I don't think
that governor.
I actually want Ron DeSantis to be our next president.
Yeah, he's an open book, and he's a military guy, and he's proven
I like Ron DeSantis
5 times over what you can do when you run the state. God forbid, like a military operation, and everything he's done, has proven people wrong, and people hate that, and they scream about it.
Yeah.
But you know what? There's something to be said for successful management, and
I just think the numbers are skewed a little bit when it comes.
Well, the numbers are always skewed. I have a hard time believing now the CDC is saying that these rapid tests don't work, but we're giving out thousands of them
right
in our county. Right. And you look at the numbers, and you have to question the numbers, but
you got to question the numbers.
You can't, because when you question the numbers, you become a fear monger or this or that. Unfortunately, I do. I know some people very close to me that have COVID right now. Thankfully,
do they have a vaccine?
Yes, they do.
And are they they mild symptoms?
No, they actually.
They're pretty sick?
One group is sick.
Really? And they're vaccinated?
Yeah.
And what vaccine did they get? I'm just
I don't know which vaccine they got.
They got a booster too?
The one I can say for certain, the other I don't know. But
wow, with a booster and they're really sick.
Not really sick, but
sick enough to not go to work.
I've been doing their grocery shopping.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's sick.
Damn. Now that I also think, right, you think about what this virus does. It attacks the immune system. They're all really healthy people, right? So they're kind of, like anybody, like I got the vaccine. I felt awful afterwards.
Yeah, I got
and everything I read, and a friend of mine that had done more research than me told me that's a good sign that your immune system's reacting to it.
Yeah.
Right?
I only felt awful for like 4 hours, and that was fine.
Yeah, I felt crappy.
First I woke up. I actually woke up in the middle of the night. It was like 16 hours after I got the shot.
Yeah.
I woke up in the middle of the night sweating. I was like, Jesus, my pillow was dripping wet. So I took a shower, and then I had the chills. Then I had the aches and pains, and my arm was really sore. I fell back to sleep, woke up in the morning, went to work.
Yeah.
When I went and got the booster, it made me a little nauseous, and it knocked me out for like an hour and a half. So when I went and got the boosters at 11 o'clock in the morning, I told my mom I'm going to take a 2-hour lunch. As I was getting off 209 to come back here, I was like, whoa, feel a little woozy. Went home, lied down, woke up in an hour and a half, felt fine.
Yeah. I kind of the same experience for me. So, but anyway, enough about COVID.
Yeah, enough about COVID.
We're going to leave that 2021.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll have plenty of time to talk about it next year.
Yeah, we could go on for hours, but
all right, real quick. Did you read the post yesterday about Gettleman's replacement? I know we're not going to jump into sports too much because Steve's coming in here and he's going to want to talk sports, and that'll probably be better than him slamming officials.
I saw the article.
It was called Mythbusters. It was in the post.
Yeah, I saw it this morning. I didn't read it yet.
I think John Mara's the one that needs to be replaced. He's not even going to go out and look for a GM. He's going to take Gettleman's assistant and make him the GM.
Hence why I didn't read the article.
His name is Kevin Connors or Kevin Abrams. Abrams, yes. He was also Jerry Reese's assistant.
It almost...
Weren't those the worst GMs in football right there? I mean,
it's almost as if Mara just wants... He's taking the easy path out, right? And when you take the easy path, you get what we have now.
Yeah.
But we'll revisit that.
Actually, Steve Peruso's logic on that is pretty correct. The Maras they don't care about their team, and I kind of agree with him on this. They're sold out. The Giants are sold out. Even though when I go to games this year, there's more opposing fans than there are Giant fans.
It's the Dolan effect with the Knicks.
Yes,
right.
Pretty much.
You look at it. the Knicks could be.
Well, they're getting better now.
Yeah,
He's not meddling with the team anymore, Dolan. Thibodeau is more hands-on. It's not like it used to be.
No, it's not. It's not nearly as bad as it used to be.
I mean,
but
Oakley's not getting thrown out of the stands
listen,
or anything.
You and I both know.
Yes, it could be better.
A competitive Knick game at home, there's nothing like it.
Yeah, nothing.
Right? You can't replicate it.
Nope.
The energy, everybody, you can make more money. You have to pay the taxes and if you're not playing in New York City. Go to a Knick game when they won by 3 or 2.
Right, at the Garden. Right. Close game.
There's nothing like it in sports.
Right, and walking out of the game is right.
Them, the Knicks, the Rangers, it's the Garden. It's the Mecca,
I've actually only been to one Knicks game at the Garden because it was hard to get a ticket back then.
Listen, my son always says, Dad, I want to go to a Knick game. I said, son, I love you, but I don't love you for $3,000.
Yeah, because that's what it's probably going to cost to get a good seat.
To get anywhere in the lower bowl is like $1,200.
It's $1,200. So I'm going to the Knicks. I'm going to a Knicks Heat game on January 26th. Obviously it's in Miami. My friend Bobby from Florida he sent it to me a week ago. He's like, Merry Christmas. He bought us 2 tickets. He's the one I went to the Dolphin game with. I had bought the Dolphin game tickets. He's like, I got a surprise for you. He bought 2 tickets to go to the Knicks Heat game. I'm like, sweet, because I haven't been to a Knicks game in a while. They're playing better now. I wouldn't have gone to a Knicks game 2 years ago. Matter of fact, they were terrible for like 20 years. So I'm like, on January 26th, I had to change my flight to fly into Florida a little earlier, but he's picking me up first he's going to cut my hair. Then we're going to go down to Miami and see the Knicks and Heat play. I was like, sweet. But hopefully they're starting to play better now a little bit.
Yeah.
But now that Kemba Walker's back in the lineup, they seem we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
It's still a long season. Now that it's hard to watch. I could only watch. Did you even watch the Giants game till halftime the other day?
No, actually, funny story.
The Eagle game. I couldn't even watch the halftime.
I had said to my buddy that, I was pissed that the Bills game wasn't on because Patriots.
I thought that should have been on as well.
Right. So
that would have been a better game to watch.
Yeah. So a friend of mine has DirecTV. He texts me. He says he's not a Giant. He's a Steeler fan. I said I'm watching the Bills game. Come on up. I said, well, I got to watch the Giant game first.
Right.
I watched 2 series. I texted him. I said, I'll be up in 5. Yeah. And that, by the way, unfortunately, you go and watch the Bills and the Patriots, both young teams, right? Similar to the Giants. And you watch what they did and what Josh Allen did. It's not even close.
No.
It's not even close.
No, it's not even close. So you got a folder there. What's it full of?
Well, I made some notes last night. Just wanted to first thank you for inviting us on.
I'm looking in 2 weeks. Fran will be here. Fran's on vacation.
Yeah, it'll be Dan and Fran. For anyone that doesn't know, I'm Dan Gruner, local guy here in Kingston that might get involved in some things from time to time. And Frandy Petrillo will be joining me starting January 14th.
Yep.
And, I haven't really chatted with Fran too much, but Fran and I have done this before.
Yeah, you guys have done this before, and you guys know each other.
Yeah, we've known each other forever, and love for this to be an open forum. You want to come on and talk about something? Get in touch with us. This is not any driven agenda.
Right.
I firmly believe, and I'm looking at a sign right now. It says, "Always be kind and stick together." If we can all just work together like we used to, this is a great town.
Yeah. I think it's getting better. I think.
I think
I don't think we're. Listen, we're not living in New York City with all the, with what's going on down there. I went to the Giant. Everything's always with me. I know you know Mike Hart and Roger Stelz and Cam. We went to my last Giant game of the year. We went to the Cowboy game, and I was talking to Mike Hart, and I haven't seen Mike in a while. I only see him a couple times a year. He's busy. He's got 3 kids. And we were both talking on the way in, as we were walking into the game. This is the first year since we've both moved back from Florida at the same time, 17 years ago, 16 years ago. The first year that we've been back in Kingston, that he hasn't taken his family down to the city, or I haven't gone down there to at least go to Rockefeller Center to go shopping, whatever. Usually every Christmas, I'll at least spend the day or go for a half a day and go to the city and hang out. It's Christmas in New York. It's always fun. This is the first. Well, actually, last year because of COVID, we didn't do it, but this year we would have done it. But with the crime and I think Eric Adams is going to be the one. Listen, this is the way I feel. With New York State, with politics, the way New York City goes is kind of the way the state of New York goes. If Eric Adams pushes to get rid of this bail reform, because the crime is really, really bad in New York City. So if he gets, people like the Cahills, the assemblymen of New York, the state legislators and the senators, to go back and vote for this bail reform and get rid of it, so people have to go to jail again for committing crimes. I mean, basically, if you murder somebody, you go to jail. But if you don't, you're out you're out on bail, or you don't even get bail. You're out.
It's interesting that you watch, and we'll get into it more in detail later on. But when you apply logic, and things don't logically align, they typically fail, and that's really where we are, which we'll talk more about later this morning. But I always try to. This is New Year's Eve. We're turning the page on a new year. Hopefully, one that will be more prosperous for all of us. But I always like to get an update on things positive. Lawrence, last time I was here, the Christmas fund was going gangbusters.
Yeah,
How did it end?
Still is. We're actually, I'm about, either today or Monday, I'm still waiting to hear from her. I'm about to go collect the last the $2,000. We're all but collected. We've collected almost $63,000, and 65 was pledged the day of the event. Now we've got another 8,000 that we got on top of that. So we had our best year ever. Thanks to everyone that's involved. Next year you'll be involved with it. So you'll be able to see what, and you're no stranger to fundraising because you've been doing, the Rosemary Gruner Foundation for years, right?
Yeah,
when did you start that, Dan?
It was funny when you said that 17 years ago.
Is it really?
Well, this will be our 18th year. Yeah.
Okay,
and that's when I moved back to Kingston.
And when did your mom die? What year? Because you were young, right?
Yeah, I was 28. May of 2003.
Oh, okay. So a year later, you started it.
Yeah, we started. Okay. We started actually pretty much right after. Yeah, it just took a year.
I moved home in August of 2004, so
yeah,
this was 17 years ago.
That's when we went live.
Yeah.
My siblings and I had talked about what we wanted to do and ultimately how we were going to do it that summer after our mom passed, and then it took. Like anything, it takes a while to plan it out.
God, yeah.
What we didn't realize was how much planning, and that, all of a sudden you're trying to, at the time, offer 3 bike rides through Ulster County, and somebody along the way had said, you got to talk to the state police.
Right.
I go talk to the state police, and the guy's like, who are you, and what do you think you're doing?
Right.
And
so it's always been a bike ride for 17 years?
Yeah.
Okay.
We added the 5K 4 years ago.
Okay, that's because I remember it's a run now.
To expand.
Because Lions Club, we donate a bike every year to you guys.
Yep. No, you guys are.
Yeah. Or our foundation does, actually.
This is, but that's another example of the good things that go on in town.
Yeah, Lions Club gives KCR money every year.
Absolutely.
Too.
Lions Club, Kiwanis, every year.
Rotary yesterday gave us $500 for the guy, Richard Cabriani, who's the president of Kingston Rotary right now. Yep. He was Tony's co-host yesterday. He came in with a $500.
I was wondering who that was.
Yeah, that was Richard. He's great. Now he's like you. He comes in with his clipboard. He was here at like 6:45. He was. He's like, I was like, Richard, you want some coffee? He's like, don't talk to me. I'm getting prepared. I'm like, whoa.
I would have been here earlier.
No, dude, it's
no. Except I set my alarm for 13 and 14-year-olds sleeping at my house right now.
And,
I set my alarm and I hit 6
They're off
p.m.
to school right now.
Yeah.
So Dan, have you been skiing yet? Because I was tempted to go yesterday, but they said Bel Air's got 25 trails open. But are they getting snow up there? Or?
No, I went Tuesday
to Bel Air.
Yeah, no, to Plattekill by myself. And they have 2 trails open.
2. So what? The ones under the lifts?
No, the one Sundown, which is the wraparound to the front of the triple, and then the wraparound through the woods, the powder puff, the green one.
And how was the lodge open? Or was it like last year when we went to the?
No, that was
everything was normal.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
I just booked the thing for the Benedictine thing this morning. Bernadette sent me the thing. You got the last day to get the discount. And I was like, oh my god, it's already December 31st.
But so they were busy with snow tubing.
Really?
But yeah, like real busy.
Real busy.
So my son didn't come with me Tuesday. Tuesday night he says, Dad, I want to go skiing tomorrow. I said, great, let's do it. I took the week off of work to ski.
Right.
I wake up like 7:15 yesterday morning, and it's raining.
Oh God!
So he wakes up. I said, Bub, I don't want to ski in the rain. Blah blah blah. He says, well, that's fine. We got to go tomorrow. I said, that's fine. I wake up yesterday morning. The mountain is totally fogged in.
Oh yeah, it was foggy yesterday.
Yeah, couldn't even see the lift, and I'm like,
so you drove all the way up there, and it was.
No, we didn't. I went on the
webcam. Yeah. That's cool.
So, yeah, but, I actually was just talking to my roommate from college last night, and he skis at Killington. And they went home last night back to Boston because it's raining there.
Oh, man.
And my sister is in Bromley, raining there.
Wow.
You got to go all the way northern Vermont.
What, like Pico? Or not Pico?
Stowe or Sugarbush. Yeah.
Jeez.
So
that's a long ride.
You hate to see, these ski resorts have been through what and back, but it's really tough. I
probably
for them.
Skied almost 15 times last year. The year before, at the end of the year before, or like COVID, the end of COVID, or right, that end of that year, right when COVID was starting, I had got new skis, and I was still skiing on 205s from when we were at High Mount. And I think it was Tom Murphy from M&T Bank. He's like, man, and a Cam too. They're like, man, you got to try out these new skis. He's like, first of all, it's not like the old skis. They're not heavy.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm telling you, you're gonna love them. But all new ski. You know how it is with skiing equipment. All new gear, equipment, boots. I mean, we're talking, a couple $1,000s. So finally, got new skis and got new stuff. Oh my God, man! I haven't fallen down sometimes I feel like I'm going too fast. The skis almost feel like they correct me from.
Yeah.
I'm like, they're wider and they're not as long. And the ones I'm on are like 180 something. They're pretty, they're pretty big or whatever. And but they're fast. They're great. You don't have to sharpen them. Remember when we used to P-Tex and wax our skis? We'd come home from High Mount for the weekend. That was me and Pat Murphy used to do that all the time, dude.
Yeah, well, we had to because we were skiing in the woods and destroying our skis.
I missed High Mount, man. High Mount was fun, man. I tried to tell people about all that. Remember it was just one lift, the T-bars. Everybody used to ski with we knew everybody. You're skiing with all your friends. That was great back then.
Probably some of the best memories of my life. You just mentioned, my cousin, Pat Murphy, Ramon Fontanas, the DeKoskis.
Yeah, we used to all go up there.
Where else could you? I'll never forget probably one of the funniest stories I remember about me was my dad telling me that someone came up to him, I don't remember who, but in a panic, and said that, your son, he just came off the top of the Catskill. I was 6 years old.
Nice.
I never looked back.
Never looked back. You were gone.
One of the benefits of being the younger brother, right? I grew up chasing all you guys around.
Right.
And
you're not that much younger than us. You're,
no, but
what are you, 45?
I'm 46.
Okay, yeah.
But my brother and his friends had a rule.
Right.
Yeah, you can ski with us as long as you can keep up.
Right, as long as you can keep up, right.
So,
Right, and I was skiing with Jeff DeKoski and those guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he was like a year or two older than me, and Jeff was skiing with his older brother. So right. I was always skiing you're always skiing with people that are older than you. Usually. That's how you get better.
Absolutely. Right. I went out and had the fortune to ski with Steve DeKoski out in
he's in Colorado, right?
Yeah, he lives in outside of Denver, and
he still skis, I take it?
He's phenomenal.
Yeah, so is Jeff.
Yeah.
No, those kids could always ski, man.
Yep.
I mean, they had their father died when they were very young, and they skied all the time. I don't see Danny much anymore. Do you still see Danny?
Yeah, Jeff lives next door to me.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. He's your neighbor.
Yeah.
That's right.
So I
forgot about that.
Dan was over there the last couple days. So.
Yeah, good. That's right. I forgot.
Yeah, he's doing great. He's at Ulster Savings Bank, and
Danny is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does Jeff still work in Jersey and travel to Jersey every day?
No, he works for the county health department now.
Does he? Good for him.
Yeah.
I used to see him at dartball, but I don't play dartball anymore, so it is what it is. So anyway, you want to go to break, and then we'll come back with Steve?
Yeah, we're going to hit the break, and then Mr. Steve Prusso at 7:30.
All right, sounds good.
You're listening to Kingston Community Radio on WGHQ Kingston. On your radio at 920 AM and 92.5 FM, and also online at mykcr.org.
Have you ever experienced a wish come true? For a child battling a critical illness, a wish come true can be a turning point. One song, one dance, one game, one adventure, one moment changes everything. Make-A-Wish needs your support to grant the wish of every eligible child. Visit wish.org now to help grant more life-changing wishes. Together, we can transform lives, one wish at a time.
Hi, I'm Steve Thomas for Habitat for Humanity Restore. Habitat Restores are nonprofit home improvement stores and donation centers that sell new and gently used furniture, building materials, and appliances to the public at a fraction of the retail cost. The Ulster County Restore at 406 Route 28 in Kingston needs your donations. Call our hotline at 845-853-7499 to schedule your free pickup. And thanks.
Everyone is talking about healthcare these days. America spends twice that of other developed countries on our healthcare system, yet our health ranks near the bottom. How can we stop spending so much and getting so little? By shifting to a system that gives more patients access to strong primary care. Primary care can help make America healthy again. To learn more about the benefits of primary care, visit www.healthisprimary.org. This message is brought to you by America's Family Physicians.
Screening exams for breast, lung, or colorectal cancers are necessary to detect and treat disease at its earliest, most curable stage. But you may have some concerns and questions. Answer your questions and ease your fears by visiting radiologyinfo.org. In addition to information on screening and wellness, you'll find more than 200 descriptions of radiologic exams, procedures, and treatments to help you prepare. Get informed and be prepared. Visit radiologyinfo.org. Produced by the Radiological Society of North America and the American College of Radiology.
100 years ago, there were 100,000 tigers in the wild. Today, there are as few as 3,200. The Earth's wild animals can't speak up when they need help, but we can. Be the voice for those who have no voice. Visit worldwildlife.org.
At St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, we're fighting against childhood cancer every day. At the heart of this battle are our donors.
Most of us want to make some type of difference in the lives of others. St. Jude does miraculous work.
The fact that no one has to pay, it's a place where everyone is treated as an equal.
Everybody is welcome here, and it doesn't matter your religion or what part of the world you're from, all that is taken away. It just gives you some hope.
It's just a nice feeling to put your energy into something that really does genuinely make a difference in a child's life.
There's just no greater gift. If we have the ability to help, then we have a responsibility to help.
Finding cures, saving children. St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Find out how you can help at stjude.org.
Hi, this is Winnie from the Rosendale Seniors, and I support Kingston Community Radio, and so should you.
This portion of Kingston Community Radio has been brought to you by the First Savings Bank in Ulster County that still remains local to this day. Ulster Savings Bank, a community bank that's invested in local business, invested in community, invested in you. Ulster Savings Bank, your one-stop resource for everything local. Locations throughout the Hudson Valley and online at ulstersavings.com. Member FDIC.
Last thing.
Okay, we're back.
All right, we are back. 7:31. Dan Gruner. First Friday. Going to be joined by Fran DiPetrillo starting on January 14th. We'll be here every other Friday. And we're here to talk. And we're here to talk about the good stuff. Maybe a little bit of bad stuff, but mainly the good stuff. And if you want to come on and talk to us, talk with us, I should say, about anything happening in and around Kingston.
331-9255 is our number. Give us a call.
Give us a call or reach out to me on Facebook or email is dan.gruner@gmail.com. Would love to have anybody on that thinks they have something to talk about. We're not here to drive an agenda. We're here to move things forward, which we'll get more into as time evolves here. But I really would like this to be an open book. I think the more we all work together, the more we collaborate, good things come. We'll talk more about that in a bit, but I want to welcome local legend Steve Peruso. Steve is a man amongst town, and I thought to kick things off, this is New Year's Eve, so I want to try and keep it light politically, but we probably won't. But we're going to at least put it off for a little bit. We've got 3 lifelong Giant fans here. Lawrence grabbing a cup of tea. We'll bring him into the conversation when he gets back. But Steve, you're a passionate Giant fan, and wanted to get your take on what unfortunately is another absolutely abysmal season.
First of all, thank you for that wonderful introduction, and I'm honored to be your very first guest. And I want to wish you luck with this endeavor. And it's a great format, and I loved your idea of opening up to anybody who wants to come in and bridge the gap. And I think that's a great idea. Hear from people on all sorts of things.
Yeah, and I mean that. I mean that seriously. And people often think that I might sit on one side of the tracks, which is, to be candid, true most of the time. But I am also ultimately a believer when you bring people together, you do good things. I would love for the mayor to come on.
I'd love to be on that day.
Yeah, and not a political discussion, a discussion about where we're heading in Kingston.
Absolutely.
That's an open invite. And really anybody that wants to come on, anyone that opposes the Kingstonian, there's 2 seats open right now. You can come in right now. Or any other Friday, starting January 14th, any other Friday from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. You oppose that project, the seat is open. Bill Berardi put out a letter to the editor this week that Rupco should buy the warehouse. Where have you been for the last 5 years, Bill? Come in and talk about it. Okay? This is a project, people are jumping and screaming that you're getting a tax credit. I've been involved and followed this since the beginning. It would cost the city of Kingston, and I'm sure it's a heck of a lot more now than it was 5 years ago. At the time, Brad Jordan stated, it would cost the city of Kingston $1,050,000 per year for 30 years to pay for the parking garage, not including bonding. I would venture to guess people that are opposed to the project don't understand what bonding is. It's an insurance guarantee that also has a cost attached to it. I'll leave it at that. I said I wasn't going to open with politics, but we went there. Because
it's hard not to.
Well,
front and center.
Steve, I asked you to be on because you're passionate, and you did what most of us don't have the courage to do, and you stood up and ran. And we're going to get back to that because I'm going to hold myself accountable that we got to first fix the Giants. And I want to keep it positive. So let's spin back. We're going to come back
Let's
to that.
Let's just backtrack for 1 second because I want to. Everything you said, I'm in agreement with, and we've talked off the air, obviously, about it. And I ran for all those reasons you just said as a non-enrolled, trying to cross. And I lean more right than left, but it comes a time when you need to bring people together a little bit. And I felt and learned as I ran that a lot of people don't want that, and that's scary.
Yeah, and I think what we'll find is,
and by the way, you're spot on a Kingstonian. For 5 years, as this thing was moving forward, there wasn't these objections to these things, and then the Bender bandwagon started, and people have jumped on it for no good reason at all, none. And like you said, I'd love to hear their views other than we don't want it. A local guy's going to make more money. You know what? Think about the businesses around the area that are going to benefit from it. The people they're going to employ. There's so much more good than bad. I defy anybody to prove me wrong on that. And you. That's it on that.
Yeah. We're going to come back to that. Trust me. But I want to. We got real problems first. The Giants. Listen.
Ooh.
I was at Lawrence Taylor's retirement game. My cousin Bobby Ryan and his dad, my uncle, had season tickets way back to, I remember going to games when I was like 10 years old, and it was the best absolute thing in the world.
Nothing better.
And now you can't pay me to go to a game.
I sat in the Maxwell seats right here.
Yeah. I don't know where Lawrence take a long time getting his cup of tea, but
it used to be. I think Larry.
Those are the days.
Larry originally, what was there? 16 tickets.
Yeah.
in that block.
So my dad.
I think there was that section 118?
I believe it was.
Were you sitting with Steve Nikos and those guys?
Absolutely.
Yeah, there was 18 in those seats.
We used to meet at the Hurley Mountain Inn.
It was the whole row, right?
Yes, the whole row.
Yeah.
We used to meet at the Hurley Mountain Inn, Bloody Marys, and off to the games, and it was the greatest day.
That's when they were good, man.
My dad.
We'll get back to that eventually.
My dad and Lawrence's dad were friends, and I
still are. Well,
to the
he's passed away,
but man, oh man, I like, my buddy Jim Shea and I, we still get together and we actually watch the game. He's got an outdoor patio.
Nice.
And we sit out there and, you know.
So
3 weeks ago, his wife says,
let me start out with asking you a question.
Yeah.
Because it baffles. You have an organization like that, rock solid. You're talking about those years. How does it go so bad and stay so bad unless they really don't want it to get better? The seats are filled. They're making money.
Right. I agree. The Maras, they're just complacent.
I mean, but is that possible that Mara and Tish and these guys really say we're making so much money? I can't believe that, but it almost seems like it's a possibility.
It is a possibility when you think about it. Like, Tish is out of the equation. He's in the entertainment business.
Right. And when he signed on to take part of the team, it was made known that you're not involved with day-to-day operations. You can get a piece of the team. The Tishes and the Maras are longtime friends, like the Rooneys and the Maras were. But let's face it, Wellington wasn't a good owner either, and neither was his father, and neither was his brother.
But he hired the right people.
Right, that's the difference. Wellington was a respected man around the NFL. All the other owners liked him. No one likes John Mara. He's kicking trash cans over. He's got his temper tantrums when they lose. Look, I was there at Eli's game when they retired his number this year.
But Jerry Jones
got on their feet and booed Mara. I mean,
Jerry Jones is not liked, but he built a win. He took a team that was lower than the Giants and rebuilt them, and he's not liked.
His son did.
I agree. His son had a lot to do with it.
His son is running that team now, and that's why
these teams have gone downhill and passed the Giants on the way back up.
Listen.
Let's face it. When Wellington died, the Giants might have died with him. That's the way That's what it seems. Even though we won 2 Super Bowls after Wellington died, Ernie Accorsi built those 2 teams.
Those were still remnants of that.
And they're still remnants of that.
You need an Ernie Accorsi. And I think to their, not defense, but I think they thought Gettleman was Ernie Accorsi 2.0.
He's not even close.
But he built Carolina from ground up.
He did, but they didn't. They got to the Super Bowl and then tanked.
He did, but then he did.
Gettleman is not a good
short
GM.
term.
He's not.
No, I'm not. Hey, listen. He was my elementary gym teacher.
He did it. He did it.
He should have stayed. He should have stayed teaching gym.
Carolina was a short term fix though, and he overloaded the cap.
He tanked on 3 drafts. He could have. All right. Remember what he said about Daniel Jones when he drafted him? Oh, talk to me in 3 years. Well, it's 3 years later. He still sucks.
That's not the pick that kills him.
But
The
I'm saying
pick
you
is
could have
the
waited a couple rounds.
The Barkley pick was the Barkley. You don't pick a running back at number 2.
I mean, Barkley was a good running back. I mean, if they
I don't care. Running back. Booker's a good running back. Turned out to be better than him. Barkley's the 3rd best back on the team right now. You don't use a number.
I think injury.
You don't use a number 2 on a running back. It's too easy to get them later on.
He'll be on the team next year. Barkley will be on the team next year.
If I could trade him for a couple of 2s, I'd do it right now.
Yeah, I don't think everybody's going to.
I'll tell you what. Did you guys watch 2 weeks ago? The Ravens were the game of the week. I forget who they played.
They lost to the Browns.
It was the backup quarterback.
Yeah,
Hanley.
Huntley or whatever his name is.
This guy's their backup quarterback. I just watched the Giants throw up on themselves.
Yeah. Well, what about they had Colt McCoy? They let him go to Arizona.
But I go to that game and watching this guy. He's their backup quarterback. He's better than Daniel Jones.
How about the kid from Houston that played last week?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
That guy was lighting it up last week. He's their backup.
Listen, I'm not.
It's just been a long season, and it's time to.
It is, and you know what? Under the circumstances, I was okay with the Jones pick at that spot because if they felt like he was the one, if you feel like your quarterback's the guy, then get him whenever you can. And Denver was going to take him. I really believe that. But I know there's people that want Jones's head and all this, but I'm not sure if you can judge him fairly yet. And I know
oh my God, he's had 3 years.
I understand, but 3 dysfunctional years.
I'm sorry, he's had
pandemic years, offensive line years, Gettleman years.
He's garbage. He's not an NFL quarterback.
I would love. We have all these picks now. I think they're going to do it anyway. I think he's going to have 1 more year. And it's going to be that's going to depend on the new GM. If he wants to keep Judge, if he wants to keep Jones.
I don't think Judge is ready to be a coach. I mean, these guys are still dropping balls.
Let me ask you this: given the choice of Jones, if you can only have one back, Jones, Gettleman, or Judge. I'm sorry. You can have one back of the 3. I'm taking Jones.
I'm taking Jones too.
Yeah,
me too.
Judge, Jones, and who?
And Gettleman. You can only have one back.
Oh, I'm taking Jones all day.
Yeah, I'm taking Jones too.
I'm the same way.
What's the problem?
But who are you going to replace? Gettleman we can replace. Who's going to be our next coach? We've had duds since Coughlin left.
I don't believe they're going to get rid of Judge, but
they're, according to what I read, they're not. But let me ask you this.
I don't think he's a good coach.
What aspect of the Giants has improved under Joe Judge?
None. They've got
worse.
Right.
So I'm sorry. I was just having a long discussion with a friend of mine last night about, what's your ultimate. I coach youth sports, and not only youth sports anymore. They're now 7th and 8th grade, and a friend of mine has done a lot of coaching too, and we were talking about why we love it. Right? Why do I? Every year I say, "Oh, this is my last year," and then I do it again.
I've been saying that with Little League for 35 years.
But ultimately, and we had a very spirited discussion last night, and my kids always learn. I have three mantras that I coach by. You will learn to hustle. You will learn to play as a team. And when we do those 2 things, we will kick some.
Now, speaking of high school sports, do your kids go to Kingston?
Yeah.
They do. Now, are they on a ski team? Do they do like?
He's not playing anything right now. He's in 8th grade.
Okay.
But it's amazing.
Do they still have like a Kingston high school ski team like when we
varsity only? He could have tried out. He's not like I was skiing wise.
Right.
He just wants to go out and go fast and make like 4 turns down the hill and avoid death and get back on the lift and do it again. Yeah. But I actually had made a note about this with Steve. Are you still reffing?
Yes.
Basketball too?
Yes. And I was going to hope to get to that at some point.
Yeah.
Wait,
so
you ref high school basketball?
High school basketball, and it's
at the field house.
Yes, everywhere, wherever they send me, and it's the messages are so mixed because the state so-called mandate, and then you have a county so-called mandate, and then it actually comes down to the school board, the school AD, and it's just, I was going to say that type of storm. It's the messages are so mixed.
Have you reffed any games this month?
I'm reffing almost every night. I have a break this week with Christmas, but I'm reffing almost every night.
And how far do you got to travel to do that?
I do Section 9, which encompasses, I'm in a great location with Kingston, but I go as far south as Ellenville, Marlboro, west to Oniora.
Wow.
North to Sorgeties. So I'm in a very good location. I jump on the thruway to go to New Paltz, Walk Hill.
So anywhere Section 9.
Kingston,
Right.
all Section 9. And I'll do...
But not Newburgh
I'll do
or
50.
anything.
I'll do 50 games this year unless we get shut down. And I'm doing doubles, JV varsity doubles, because some guys have opted out of reffing because of the crazy rules. First of all, they're making the kids and the referees wear masks while we're running around in a gym,
that's
vaccinated or not. My feeling is,
that's
if the
not
kid is
safe.
vaccinated, if the referee is vaccinated, don't
I
make
don't
them
know
wear a
if that's
mask.
safe to
in the
let
gym.
let anybody
It's
run
unhealthy.
out.
It's
Yeah,
already
that
been
is
proven
it.
that it's unhealthy. If you want to make the fans come in and wear a mask,
That's different.
that's fine. They're sitting there doing nothing. But the kids, by the way, are not wearing the mask. They're wearing them as chin straps because they can't breathe.
They can't breathe, right? You got to.
And yet we have these ADs and these county people screaming, "Oh, I saw a picture in the paper. These kids aren't following the rules. We should shut sports down." These people don't have a clue what they're talking about. They're just screaming to scream. They don't have a finger on the pulse of what's going on. When those kids leave that game, they're all hanging out together. They're
Right,
not wearing
and they're not
masks.
wearing masks then.
They're not. They've gone through the protocol. They've made the sacrifice to get vaccinated, to get their boosters,
Right.
so that they can
did what
play
they were
sports.
told, and they're still
Now,
gotta wear
don't
masks.
make them put a mask on
That's
in an
terrible.
85-degree gym, threatening. And now, by the way, we are told flat out. Matter of fact, we've been told 1,000 times. You are not the mask police. If there's a player not wearing a mask, you don't say a word. Obvious reason. Kid is not feeling well, pulls their mask down. You tell them to put that mask back on. They take 2 steps and fall and crack their head open, and they say, well, the ref made me do it.
Right.
We are not allowed to say a word. So nobody's saying a word. And I agree with it that they shouldn't be wearing them, but don't go through the facade and of this fakasha rule of the masks when it's ridiculous. So, and we're wearing them, by the way. The referees, we are told by our board that we do have to wear them, and we keep them on. Some guys have opted for buying these fancy masks where the whistle is stuck right inside it.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because when you got to blow your whistle, you would technically have to take.
Right. Some guys are actually gone to an electronic whistle that you hold in your hand. I'm staying old school. I actually took a razor blade, cut a
Really?
slit.
They just stick it right
I
in
cut
there.
a slit in my black mask where the whistle slips in, so there's no space for contaminants to get out, and I'm trying to do it as normal as I can.
You know, this is a hot button, obviously, with parents, with the athletes, and I don't want to forget to say this, but my heart absolutely breaks for these high school kids whose, many kids' athletic careers have been stolen from them.
Absolutely.
And I think about a kid and who would not otherwise have an opportunity to go to college, but athletics creates that opportunity. You can't get that back. That's life-changing. And, this about, attendance and masks and all this came out yesterday. And Kingston's there's 46 school districts in Section 9. 8 are now limiting spectators. 8 are now requiring, attendance lists and 2 per attendance. Kingston's one of them.
But yet we're going to have 100,000 people in Times Square tonight.
We're going to have 100,000 people.
I thought they were nixing that.
And how about 100,000 people, but they have to social distance?
Right. Here's reality, okay? When you
I'm just
get
happy
outside
de Blasio's gone.
When you get outside of New York, right? Friends of mine have been to Florida. It's normal living, but I want to just correlate this directly to sports. Kingston City School District is now limiting 2 people, no more fans, right? One of the best experiences, I still go. Kingston High School basketball.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're one of the best teams in the state, year in and year out.
Basketball.
Yes.
How about the child who's fortunate enough to have grandparents and parents, all 4 alive, and cannot go to watch?
Right.
Even though they're all vaccinated and they can sit in the stands, they're not allowed to. Now, the poor child, has to choose which 2 can come and watch.
Only two people can.
Yes, you have to submit the name. But I'm going to go back to it. So you're going to have almost 100,000 people tonight at the NCAA football championships. That has been going on around the country since September.
Yeah, I've been.
We're going to go back to this. New York State is operating under some of the most strict restrictions. Masks, state of emergency, whatever it might be. We have the single highest COVID rate in the United States on record since the beginning of COVID was yesterday. Now, to bring it back local, because that's what we're here to talk about. Local. You touched on it, Steve. These decisions are made by the board. Dr. Padalino put out the email about the sports. And Dr. Padalino is in a very challenging position. I'll leave it at that. He's caught in the middle of a lot of this. But when you attend a Kingston High School football game, and there's 3,000 people there, and there's 2 people wearing a mask, and it's our board president, Jim Shaughnessy. Again, Jim, seat is open. Come join us any Friday you want. I have a lot of questions for you. A lot. So 7 to 9 a.m., starting January 14th, every other Friday, Jim, seat is wide open. Open forum, not political. Questions from a parent that have gone unanswered for 2 years. Okay? Our education is failing. Our children, most importantly. There's no regard for the parents. I had no intention of talking about this. But when I know I'm right, I'm not right all the time. Parents.
I ran into Mike Ferraro the other day. Not to interrupt you, I'm sorry.
How long did that take you? Half hour, 40 minutes?
Well, I graduated high school with him, but I ran into him at the diner. I'm like, Mike, I haven't seen you in a while. He picked up his family and moved to Connecticut because of the schooling. I was like, Mike, where you been? Oh, I moved my kids to Connecticut, and I send them to school there now.
Listen,
because he had it with this Kingston City school system.
Every single parent heart skips a beat right now when you get an email from the district thinking we're going remote. Remote fails. Okay? Our children
kids are missing out
need to interact, and children are not at risk. There is zero science to say otherwise. I have 4 kids, 13 and 14 years old, sleeping at my house right now. They are not 6 feet apart. They will be fine.
Yep.
And when you attempt to question our school board, and I want to be clear, the buck stops with our school board. People have a very misconceived notion of that. Everyone wants to blame the superintendent. That's not. If you do your homework and find out where the actual decisions are made, it is with the school board, which is why I would love Jim Shaughnessy to come on here. I have so many questions for you that I know parents have asked you. And the fact that our school board, they're publicly elected officials, and they don't answer emails, they do not answer the phone, and they just blatantly ignore people. Why are you ignoring people? These are the parents. We pay the salaries of the entire district. Why are you ignoring us?
And they get raises every year too.
Seems like an elitist attitude.
And it's because when you're doing things that are so fundamentally broken and you refuse to answer people, You're absolutely right, Steve. I don't need to answer you. Now, I could have very well, and I thought about it twice, actually. I could have ambushed Jim Shaughnessy, who's sitting 3 rows in front of me at a football game. I was sitting by myself. I take my son and his friends because I don't think they're old enough to be there by themselves.
Especially with what's going on at some of these events.
Right, like massive fights. Right. Jim, you want to talk about that? But you're more concerned about a kid wearing a mask properly at a basketball game. So I could have ambushed you at that game. You were 2 rows in front of me, the only one wearing a mask, 3,000 people sitting there. But I didn't because I'm respectful. So here's your invite. Come on here, sit in the chair, look me in the eye. I'm going to give you an hour, not 30 minutes. I want an hour. So whenever you're ready.
Good luck getting them on the air, but...
well, going, like I said, open invite. Questions from a parent.
He might come on,
You should go, besides here, because he's probably not listening, but give that open invitation. We've given the same open invitation. A good friend of ours, Valerie Dwyer, has given an open invitation.
That's why I'm here.
To Peter Buffett, and I believe they're having a meeting. And I believe that's a great idea to open up the lines of discussion with these people, because as they sit there and make these decisions and do what they want, and are not challenged.
It's affecting our city.
It is affecting us all.
And the thing is, my horse in the race is me, my family.
Which is the most important. And your son is the future of the city.
Absolutely.
Our children are the future of this city.
And I talked back, and to get back to the original point here, why do I coach? I coach because I love watching a kid succeed. There's nothing in it for me. If I can turn one, absolutely. Last Monday night, right? So we're playing, God forbid, indoor lacrosse.
You're a drop-off babysitter for an hour and a half.
2 hours.
All right, let's switch gears real quick. We got to take a break. We're going to come back with birthdays, and then we'll dive back into this.
Yep.
All right, great.
Listening to Kingston Community Radio on WGHQ Kingston. On your radio at 920 AM and 92.5 FM, and also online at mykcr.org.
Hi, I'm Kelsey Grammer. Wounded Warrior Project supports injured veterans by connecting them with fellow warriors, by serving them through mental health and wellness programs, and by empowering them to live on their own terms. No one should face a battle alone. Join us at woundedwarriorproject.org.
We are Lions. We bring hope where it's needed. We are a global force for good. Support causes that matter. Change lives. Change communities. Change the world. We can do more together than we can alone. Join in. Experience the joy of serving. Be part of the movement. Give back. Let's unite the world for good. We are Lions. You can be too. Visit weserve.org.
Hi, this is Tony Marmo from Norman Staffing, and we've been bringing together employers and job seekers since 1980. If you're an employer and have job vacancies, let Norman Staffing help fill them with permanent or temporary workers. We screen, interview, and recommend the best candidates for your company. We make the employment process easier and faster for you. Please call Norman Staffing for your employment needs at 338-9111, 338-9111, or normanstaffing.com.
Have you ever experienced a wish come true? For a child battling a critical illness, a wish come true can be a turning point. One song, one dance, one game, one adventure, one moment changes everything. Make-A-Wish needs your support to grant the wish of every eligible child. Visit wish.org now to help grant more life-changing wishes. Together, we can transform lives, one wish at a time.
This is the story of Daniel, who was born 2 months early. His lungs weren't ready. His heart wasn't ready. His parents could only hope that one day he would leave the hospital healthy, and they would all live happily ever after. Daniel's is just one of the more than 500,000 stories of babies born prematurely last year. You can help the March of Dimes stop premature birth and bring more babies home healthy. Learn how at marchofdimes.com. Working together for stronger, healthier babies.
Hi, my name is Jackie Lovezzo. I'm from Lake Katrine, and I support Kingston Community Radio because it is an invaluable resource to the community and its residents.
A powerful community bank is one that has leaders that are involved in their community. At Rondout Savings Bank, they invest in the success of our community by working side by side with local people and local businesses. When you choose to bank Rondout, you are part of a bank that is dedicated to the future of your success and the success of your community. Rondout Savings welcomes you to open an account today and discover what it means to be part of a powerful community bank, one that knows you by name. Rondout Savings Bank, always working for you and our community, with branches in Kingston, West Hurley, and Hyde Park, also online at rondoutbank.com. Equal housing lender, member FDIC.
The big golfer from Twofskill.
Okay, we're back. We're back on the air.
Back.
All right.
All right.
So yeah,
Quick.
so Dick did die, Steve, in
I know.
97.
Dick Boyce, rest in peace, Dick. Great
He was
pillar,
great, man.
Great man in the community.
All
I
right,
hope I
so
make it to 97. Maybe
before we get back into our conversation, some birthdays. So I'm going to go first. I'm going to give this looks like an Italian name to Mr. Peruso.
It's probably
I have no idea how to pronounce it.
Oh, it's one of his cousins.
This is going to be funny.
All right. A happy birthday to Carol Salinger from your friends at People's Place and the great people, all the great work that they do there. And Mr. Peruso.
All right, I'm going to give it a shot. So these are actually tomorrow's birthdays because we're not there.
So just do one at a time. So what do you? They're all tomorrow's birthdays.
This one, Carol Salinger's today.
All right, so do first one day at a time. So Carol,
one day at a time. All right,
Carol, she's the only one.
Carol's the only one.
Carol's the winner of today's birthday pie. Happy birthday, Carol! You can go down to Boyce Brothers, pick up your cake anytime after 8:00. Sally will be there. She'll give you a big hug and wish you Happy New Year.
Absolutely.
All right, so now we got a Saturday birthday.
For Saturday's
New Year's
birthdays,
baby.
Saturday's birthday is January 1st. The first one, and I'm sure I'm not going to get this right, but I'm going to give it a try. Vincina Pinocchio, almost Pinocchio,
Some
but
Italian you are, dude.
Pinocchio.
Whoa.
If I'm saying it wrong, I apologize to you if you're listening. It looks like Vincine Pinocchio.
Oh, it sounds like a good spaghetti.
Yeah, Italiana. So happy birthday, Vincine. And also, there's another birthday tomorrow, and that's Alexis Moran. She's also a Saturday birthday. So, and the winner here is, for January 1st, is Alexis Moran. And that's, she can get her cow pie.
Yep, she go down to Boyce Brothers, 62 O'Neill Street.
And while we're on birthdays, because this is a local radio station, I'm going to give a big shout out to a local guy who's been a friend of mine for as long as I can remember, and that's the rock man, John Stowe.
Oh, John.
It's John's birthday today, so if you run into John, wish him a big happy birthday and thank him for all he does around the community. And
I saw him out on Christmas Eve.
He's out and about a lot.
He made a very generous donation to the Happy Christmas Fund, too. So
he does a
Happy
lot.
New Year, John. Happy birthday.
You know, the Stoats are like some other families here in Kingston. A lot of what they do is quiet, and they are so incredibly generous. I mean, had the good fortune of serving with Bill on the Boys and Girls Club board. I was their youngest president, 33 years old, and
Nice.
you know, really, the reality was we were rebuilding the board. Kenny Beesmer appointed me the vice president of the board, and I said, "Well, what are you doing here, Ken? I just got involved." He said, "Well, I need you to clean this up." And I said, "Great." And we just had to, you know, we needed new blood on the board, and we worked and we did it. But, you know, two of the guys that I kind of always were my sounding boards were Brad Jordan and Billy Stoat. They were kind of the two rocks per se.
Yeah.
Behind the scenes, that, you know, anything you need.
And never looking for thanks, and
No,
doing
and
it
that's
for all the
why-
right reasons.
You're absolutely right, and that's why I bring it up, because they do it for the right reasons. But, you know, wanted to finish up on what we were talking about before we parted ways here for the break. But, you know, joking about coaching and sports and you know, your side from the referee and what's going on at schools with the masks. And, you know, my son's he's a big lacrosse player, and we're competing in an indoor league right now down in Milton, and we played all last winter, 12-game season.
Yeah, we did. We did some tournaments down there for other sports in the dome.
And no problems.
Nope.
You look at that, and then you look at the way the schools run it. We're playing right now.
Yeah.
Right? And it used to be it's Friday nights down in Milton. If you've never been there, it can take you 25 minutes to get there or an hour. Right? 9W. And
at its mercy.
Yeah, you know, after you work all week and you're driving home from there at 9 o'clock at night, but you know what? Not only was it the best 60 minutes for the kids, it was the best 60 minutes for the parents.
Yep.
Amongst all the craziness. So, but just to close out on coaching and why I love it, we're 2-1 right now. Kingston Tigers in this league. Very competitive league. A lot of travel teams participate. And we won our last game before the break pretty handedly.
Nice.
And we had a practice Monday night. We're off this week and last week and this week, obviously, for the holidays. But, you know, here I got a bunch of 13 and 14-year-olds who come into practice Monday night, and they got some pretty big, you know.
You know, you mentioned something about it's for the parents, it's for the kids. You know what it is? It's a break from the craziness that's going on.
Absolutely.
It's it's letting them be normal for an hour and a half. It's letting them be normal. Forget about what's going on at school, in our world. It's an escape for everybody involved.
And to your point, 100%. So here these kids come into practice and they're dogging it, right? They just won a game 13-5, right? You want to walk around. You want to be lazy in this drill that's designed to pick up the pace. And I fire 2 warnings across the bow, and the third time the kid walks the ball up. But here's my point. Contrary to what maybe we're supposed to do, drop your sticks and get on the line. And they ran blood and guts until they couldn't talk. Now, I have another coach that helps me, and I looked at him before I started this. I said to him after I warned them the second time, I said, if this happens a third time, I'm going to bury them. And I looked at him before I did it because I respect him and we work hand in hand.
Want to be on the same page?
Absolutely. He goes, do it. And I did. Now, there's people that would say I was too tough on them. I would tell you that's the defining moment in our season. What they don't know yet is Friday night we play, we win, we take control of second place. I've already looked at the schedule. We should run the table the rest of the, right? So my point is this, and it all comes full circle. I'm at the YMCA yesterday with my son because we're both going stir crazy. We were supposed to ski all week and it's raining. So we go to the Y to play basketball. Yes, I went and played basketball and I'm paying for it today. But I'm in the gym, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, trying to find my jump shot. Not 1, 2 kids came up to me that I've coached. Hey, coach, there's nothing better.
Absolutely not.
Hey, coach. Now.
And by the way,
I'm sure there's plenty of people that would tell me I was too tough on those kids last Monday night. But you know what? Those 2 kids yesterday, independent of each other. Hey, coach. That's why I coach. I want to teach these kids what hard work can get you in life. And that is a pivot to what we can accomplish together. You know, it's amazing to me, amazing, that we sit here and there's people that want to defund the police. Now, before we get into that, again, there's 3 open seats right now. You want to defund the police in Kingston, New York. There are 3 seats that are open.
And the phone lines are here.
And the phone lines are wide open. You can call us right now.
What's that number again?
331-9255.
331-9255.
I was in the other room. Are you talking about the girl I think you're talking about? Is that you're talking about defunding the police?
Well, we're going to get to that in a minute.
Because the people that want to defund the police are the people that, well...
They are, no, you're right. So
it's like the people that are protesting. They don't have jobs. They're out. It's like,
right.
Come on, man.
So again, 1, 2, 3 open seats.
Well, remember, Bob Baum's coming in 20 minutes. So
no, I know.
There's 2 open seats.
No,
but I got other chairs in here we can roll in.
No,
it's throwing up that option if they want to talk.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't
listen.
We've been throwing
I
that
have friends of
option
mine lined up for January. If I got to boot them till February, we'll do that.
Good.
Because this is how important this is. Now,
it is important.
Now, I want to read this to you. Okay, and this is going to take a minute. But again, so Rise Up Kingston, you want to defund the police. Okay, here we go. Chicago mayor who pushed $80 million defund of cops now pleads for the feds to save the city. I'm just getting started.
It's happening all over the country.
This is going to take a minute. This is from, Mayor Lori Lightfoot, who last year, this isn't me, this is the New York Post published document, who last year proposed cutting $80 million from her city's police budget, publicly pleaded with the feds, this is a week ago Monday, to bolster the ranks of her city's cops amid a surge in shootings and homicides. This is after over a year of the city of Chicago in absolute warfare. Okay? Now, so if you're wondering, again, Rise Up Kingston, 3 open seats, come defend this. Although Chicago is far behind its 1970 record of 964 killings, at least a dozen cities across the U.S. have already seen more murders than ever this year, including Philadelphia, Columbus, Ohio, and Rochester, New York. Rochester, New York had to declare a state of emergency last month.
They were I believe they were the first city in New York State to take away funding.
Correct.
No, that's funny, Steve. When you played golf with him when he came down, my uncle, I tried to bring that up to Jack, and he got all up in my face about, you don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, I'm just talking about what I read in the Post.
We don't know what we're talking about until the facts come out.
Right.
We're not talking. We're not making this up.
Right.
These are
Right. I read it in the
facts.
Post. Right.
Right.
The problem is when you throw these facts at these people, they change it. It's not their agenda, so they don't want to hear it.
Right.
Because they have this connotation of defunding the police because all police are bad.
They're not.
They're racist. Their intent is to kill people. It's ridiculous.
We have police on this show every month. All the top cops are on here every.
Is there bad police?
I know.
Absolutely.
I know most of the cops in this town, they're all great guys.
So again, I served on the Reimagine Police Task Force, right? 9 months of my life that I can't get back. But I did it.
What year did you do that?
Last year. Last year. Now, why did I do it? Let's start with there.
That was the initial one, right?
Let's start with why did I do it, right? Because I believe in life, when you insert the word why, it drives answers. Rennie Childress approached me. I'll never forget it. I'm walking out of my house, I'm taking my son and his buddy to lacrosse practice. He walks up in front of my house. I'd never met the guy before. He says, "Hey, Dan. Hey, how are you?" Or no, we were going to a game because I remember. And so the short story is, he said, "Oh, your uncle gave me your name." So, all right, my uncle said he should, Gene.
Oh, okay.
Right before he left town, his parting gift to me. But, when somebody says, "Hey, my uncle, your uncle," I listen.
Right.
Right? That's what respect does. This police task force, blah, blah, blah. I said, "Listen, I got to get these kids to a game. Here's my phone number. If this is legit, I'll be in the car. I was driving to New Jersey the next day. Call me between 9 and 11. I'll be available to talk."
Right.
And he does. And we talk. And I was honest with him. Why me? Well, you know a lot of people, you independent voice, blah, blah, blah. I said, I'll be an army of one on this thing. And if I knew then what I know now, Man, what a different experience it would have been. But I didn't. That's okay. But the reason why I did it, I didn't like what I saw. Much like what you did, Steve. You put yourself out there. You put yourself out there more than me. But I got involved because that's what we need to get involved. I didn't have an agenda.
I need to ask you
What's
something.
in a minute, because I don't want to lose this thought. What's amazing to me, we have this first meeting. Now, Lester Strong, who was the facilitator, we talked on the phone. You know, it was kind of like an interview, vetting. And he said, somebody told me you were the president of the Boys and Girls Club. I said, yeah, I was. At 33 years old. He says, I don't need to know anymore. If you want to be in, you're in. Right? He didn't care what I did for a living, and that was important to me.
Right.
And that was my approach when I introduced myself to this group. I said, I didn't tell anybody what I did for a living because it's not relevant.
Right. That has nothing to do with it.
Because it forces judgment. I said to the group, and this is how this whole thing started. I said, I've had the good fortune of running a nonprofit I led it for 15 years. Now my brother leads it. And I've learned through that opportunity that you have the ability to work with people from all walks of life if you have the vision to do something good. I'm going to apply that same vision here. And that's what I hope to bring to the table. One guy who doesn't remember me, but I remember him, says to me right out of the gate, what are you, a Trump guy? What did I just say?
That statement made him say that?
What? Exactly. Because he probably looked up something I might have shared on Facebook a year ago that presented facts that nobody responds to. But you had a question?
Well, basically, yeah, because I don't want people to think, it sounds like you're saying you regretted your experience.
No, I'll get to that in a second.
Because I know you didn't. But the same way I regret losing because I would have made a difference much more.
Who likes to lose? Nobody.
Especially, I
Winners
think
don't like to lose.
I think you know my competitiveness a little bit. But the fact is, I don't want people to misinterpret what you're saying as regretting your time on that, because I know that's not true. The same way I don't regret running. Because the people I met along the way, and what you just expand on, what you said, what I learned along the way about people and being labeled, even though I was non-enrolled, I was a Trumper also.
So, to your point, I don't regret it. I'm actually proud that I did it.
And I give you all the credit in the world.
And I give you all the credit in the world. And, you know, this isn't some big hug fest. This is two people that love our city. But what I will tell you is this. Back to the defund the police, rise up Kingston. I presented in 2 public forums. We each had to pick a topic. There was pre-selected topics, and then within those, you chose a topic that was of interest to you. Mine was police accountability. Okay? I interviewed Mike Bonts, who at the time was the number 3 guy at Kingston City Police Department. I interviewed him 3 times, extensively. I told Mike going into it, and this was approved by Chief Tinty. Mike, if there's anything I'm going to ask you hard questions. If there's anything I ask you that's out of bounds, just tell me. We'll move on. I also want you to tell me if I ask you a direct question that you are not able to answer, to tell me that. But also, tell me why you can't answer it. Because I want to help the public understand. So, after these interviews, I give my first public forum, and I report on a number of things. How many times has a Kingston City police officer discharged their firearm? In my 25 years with the department, once.
What, do you have to put down an animal?
No, there was a shot fired, but it was also like 18, 19 years ago. Nobody harmed. Once. Now, again, to your point, are there bad cops out there? Yeah. You know what? There's bad people out there. Look at all the people looting these stores.
That's why we need police.
Correct. The answer is looting stores. But how many police incidents? Now, this is in November of 2020 that I'm giving this report. November 2020, how many police incidents were reported in the last 12 months? In the city of Kingston, 3. Can you give me any detail on those? I can comment on 2 because both were unfounded. The third one has been referred. I'm not able to comment. That, my friends, who want to jump and scream and say, oops, see, they're hiding things. No, the police are part of a union that protects them. Okay? That in and of itself, so there's 1. Okay? Now, you would think in the city of Kingston we have just, it's guerrilla warfare, right? But it's not. So I had one question. Well, I did this, again, by design. We each had 10 minutes to present in a public forum. My report was 4.5 minutes long. How do I know that? I timed it. That's what's called being prepared is. Not just getting in front of a microphone and screaming. I left it open for questions. I stated in the beginning of my presentation that New York State Civil Law 50A, which protects the police against their records being made public, is a state level issue. Right? It is at the state level. It is there now. It's supposedly been appealed 2 years ago, but you haven't heard a lot about that, right? That's a state level issue. The first and only question I get is about revealing the personnel files of the police officers. Well, there's one of 2 things happen. You missed the first 4 minutes of my presentation, or you're just not smart.
I would go with the second.
Yeah, I would go with probably both. Because what I also learned was that Rise Up Kingston had planted, in my second presentation, planted a question. You know what a woman told me? Well, I shouldn't say woman. A person in my second presentation didn't like the use of language that I chose. So I didn't even respond to it, right, in the public forum. But the funniest part of the whole thing is the language that she was referring to was provided to me and told me to put in by Lester Strong.
Okay, well, not to even though your conversation is great and very passionate, and love to hear it. Bob, the last time Bob was on, he didn't get to say one word because Joe Sinagra was too busy overbooking guests. The guy triple booked. So, Bob, thanks for coming back on. Bob is a local realtor, and he's also made all these great signs. You see all the great signs that are here, the ones outside? Yeah, Bob did those on trade for us. So I'd like to get Bob on.
I'd like to give Bob a shout out right now for all the help he gave me with my campaign.
Oh yeah,
more than generous.
Right? I didn't even know that. So that's
more than generous. Him and Linda donated massive amounts of things to my campaign, and I'd like to just openly say thank you to you, Bob.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Well, Bob, I got one major question: is the housing market starting to drop, or is it still? I mean, is it starting to turn into a buyer's market?
Wait a minute. Hold on a second. Because I'm going to turn it on. Obviously, my time here is running out, and Bob's going to. This sounds like it's going to be a long one. So before you get into that, I want to thank you, Larry and Dan, for having me on. I'm honored to be the first guest on Dan's show, and I hope to be back.
Absolutely.
I'd like to come on, I think, as you mentioned, with my partner, Sal, and hopefully we can get Good Sports back on the air on a real radio station.
Yeah, I'm going to talk to my mother over the weekend. I think Tuesday night will work. If you talk to Sal.
I will talk to Sal. I talk to Sal once in a while.
I've already confirmed it with Pamela.
I actually talked to Sal independently.
Yeah, Sal's not a regular guest, so get him locked.
No, he is. I asked him to come on today.
Oh, okay. I'd like to get him on as an underwriter too.
So. Yeah. But he. After the first of the year, I'm going to actually connect with him next week. Good. And then, we had a really fun conversation, and
he's great. He's really good on the radio.
Absolutely. Man. And, another example, right? Sal and I grew up together.
Yeah.
And Sal's and his whole family are incredible supporters of our cancer fund and the bike ride.
And the Happy Christmas Fund, too.
And
Every
you know,
fund,
And you'll get his take on being a businessman in Kingston.
without a doubt. And, you know, Sal says to me, you know, we get a lot of support from restaurants for the bike ride, and, you know, and they've literally, Sal and his Frank
the whole Guido
and Mark,
family.
they've been there since day one. You know, my dad and Frank grew up together. And I did a lot of in-person visits this year because I wanted to make clear to people that I understand if you can't support us right now, it's 100%
What's
okay.
going on?
And Sal was the first one I went to talk to. And we actually talked a little bit the night of the Hooli, and, you know, spirited conversation for the both of us. And so I texted him the next day. I said, listen, all joking aside, I said, I want to come talk to you this week. Because, like you just said, Steve, as a business person, and I knew he'd be honest with me, right?
Absolutely.
And so we got together, and you know, in my head, I know what he normally does. And he looks at me and he says, what else do you need? I said, well, no, we're good. You know, 100%. And he said, well, I'm going to do a little bit more this year. And he doubled what he normally does.
Yeah, that's nice.
Now, Sal would be pissed at me right now. Right?
Yeah,
For telling you
absolutely.
guys that.
Not doing it. He's not doing it for the thank you. He's doing it because it's the right thing to do.
Right.
And then,
No,
by the
yeah,
way, then they
that-
walk across the street and talk to Steve Savona. And the same thing.
Yep.
Right? So, again, we might get spirited, we might get sidetracked about these things,
But
what it all comes back to is all these people that are doing great things in this community, and they don't, look at who we talked about. John Stowe, Sal Guido, Steve Savona, Danny Savona.
All right, I'm going to end it on this note. You just mentioned
Steve Caruso.
You just mentioned all the. No, seriously, this is what this show's about, and that's you're spot on. Those are all the good people. The transports that are coming in here, destroying our city. The Buffetts, the Benders. These are the people that we're hearing too much about, and not the good people, as you just mentioned.
Yeah, that's
and I'm going to end on that note. And thanks again for having me, Dan,
Yeah,
Larry,
Happy New
Bob.
Year, Steve.
Happy
Good to
New
see
Year
you.
to you all, and I'll see you again soon.
all right. Happy New
Steve,
Year.
thanks for coming in. Appreciate it. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Stephen.
Dan, thanks, man.
You bet.
Stay in touch. Stay in
All right,
touch.
so I'll text you over the week and let you know about the Tuesday
I'll
night.
see you at Rogers. You kidding me?
Oh, yeah, of course.
I forgot that.
Okay.
Don't forget Rogers Deli on the corner of Washington and Lucas Avenue for your breakfast sandwiches
Oh, my
and the best
God.
coffee in town.
Jesus.
I promised him I'd do that.
I got my copy.
Well, let's get Raj on
Were
here.
you going to pay your tab or something? Is that going to go off your debt?
No, it's funny. I drive by there. I live 2
You
blocks
should go to
away.
Rogers. I go there every morning.
I know. I hear it's
get-
like the
you
hot
get free
spot.
coffee with your breakfast sandwich. Now, listen, I eat my sandwiches there, but it's not a market basket sandwich.
Right.
You know how much bacon she puts on that thing, but it's still a damn good sandwich. And I get my lotto there, my papers there. But anyway, Bob, is it a
Yes.
seller's market or is it a buyer's market?
Well, it's still pretty much a seller's market.
Yeah,
that
sucks.
I'm really not the qualified person for commenting on residential housing because
Oh, that's
I
true, 'cause
do
you do
not
commercial.
do any residential.
Yeah, that's true.
With
But you
the
know the-
exception
you know the
of
market, though.
Well, but I think nationwide we're seeing a leveling off of that. We are not a unique operation here in Kingston. Nationally, people have been experiencing this. The exodus from California into the western states, Idaho, Montana, and so on. We're seeing more California license plates than I ever saw before here
Yes.
in Kingston, and from other areas. So we're seeing a surge of people who are looking for a better way of life, and I think we have it here. But back to
Which is crazy.
yeah, but back to the issue. I can comment on commercial and investment real estate. That's what I'm trained in. That's what I'm schooled in constantly. Every month I go to school for some other reason of education with regard to commercial property. But I want to segue it to one other thing.
1 second. Do we have to take a break?
No, we're good.
We're good. Okay. So if you're just tuning in, Dan Gruner here with Bob Baum, Lawrence Maxwell, our gracious host. This is the first of what I haven't run it by her yet, but I think it'll be the Dan and Fran show.
Yes.
Or the Fran and Dan show, if she prefers that ring better.
Yeah, I mean, Fran, when I took over for my father 6 years ago after he passed away, unfortunately, Fran was already pinch hitting, co-hosting with Tony and other people.
Yep.
And we had never were able to put her on a show. Then we were, and then that didn't work out. So I'm happy to have Fran back. I'm looking forward to it. She when she was with tourism, she brought a lot to the table. Now she's with the Board of Elections. She's got more things to bring to the table, and she's
and didn't get to say it earlier, but Lawrence, you and your mom appreciate the opportunity.
Absolutely.
I always found it. I got involved here. Val Dwyer asked me to pinch hit a couple times. When Tony Marmo was away, and it's interesting. We've kind of talked about a lot, and not to segue off the real estate, but I meant to make this point earlier and I forgot. The first full time I sat here was in April of last year.
Oh, and that was that the first
Brian
time you
Aiken.
hosted?
Yeah.
And that was with Fran, right?
No, that was with Val.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And it was with Brian Aiken, who's the head of the KPD union.
That was a big day on YouTube that day.
Full disclosure.
I remember that show.
Val Dwyer is married to my cousin and one of my dentists, and one of my dearest friends in the world, and been a friend for 40 years, 35 years.
Since diapers.
Yeah. Well, actually, we met in middle school. But when, anyone that knows Val and her story and talk about putting your heart into it in terms of changing things that aren't good in this community, she's the poster child. So we have an opportunity to interview Brian Aiken. I didn't know Brian.
I didn't know him until that day either.
Yeah, so Val and I talk, and we agreed that I should probably ask the tough questions, which is fine. I don't, when I believe in something, I'm going to ask the tough questions and try and get answers. And so I was amazed. We talked to Brian the day before, and I was amazed, how open he was, how he answered tough questions, and reality is he was looking to tell their story.
Yeah, and he sure did.
He sure did. And, so we sit here today. I think that day was an example of what I want to bring to this show. You want to bring the noise, well, you better come here and back it up.
Straight. Yeah.
And that's exactly what happened that day. And I said to Brian, I'll never forget that. I was sitting right here. I said, let me ask you a question. Drugs bring guns. Guns bring violence. All three are brought by gangs.
Right.
I said, is any part of that wrong? He says, absolutely not. I said, and what is our leadership doing to address this? And he said, nothing.
But now, at the time, the bail reform was just, that was April, right? Mm-hmm. So bail reform was 4 months into it. It was a complete failure. And
right. But fast forward, and right, the mayor and the chief went nuts after that interview. Right? They clearly had somebody listening. They weren't listening themselves. If you are, you're welcome to come on. But my point is this. That narrative just absolutely fell apart. Right? The defund the police has completely fallen apart in less than a year. And rightfully so, because it's a disgrace. There are laws. You look at any kid that is struggling and getting in trouble in school, and it's amplified right now. They're crying for help. They're crying for attention. And I wanted to just share that because that was kind of what started all this.
That's how you ended up here.
That's how I ended up here.
All right, let's let Bob get some time because he's.
But I don't want to steal Bob's thunder. So Bob, you more on the commercial side, and you're saying you're seeing plates. I just heard a funny story how some couple from California bought a house in Kingston recently.
That's crazy. They moved from California to Kingston.
Yeah, as a weekend home. And I knew somebody involved in the transaction, and, it was kind of the people were looking to sell quick, and so the people produced their financials to show they, could do. They're worth like $150 million.
Whoa.
Bought a house in Kingston, New York.
And they moved from California.
No, this is just going to be like a drop-in home for them.
3,000 miles away.
Right.
Jeez.
Yeah. But it goes to show you that wouldn't have happened 5 years ago.
No, that wouldn't.
But, Bob, I'd be more interested. I made some notes before you came in. The Kingstonian we've talked about, but what are you hearing about iPark 87?
Well, I know a little bit about iPark across the river, and I don't. I have that on my note here. School's out pretty much on Tech City and an iPark. I'm not going to tread on Jim Quigley. He's the most qualified guy to really discuss that issue. I don't have particulars.
They have a really good track record.
Yes, they do.
At National Resources, and I know Lawrence. Dan Ahaus and the crew were on last week, and I listened to that. But, it's interesting, and I know, not specific to, like, if you look at what they did in Fishkill, it's incredibly impressive.
It is.
And immediately we have naysayers. That's more of what I'd be interested in, like, you've been doing this a long time, and I'm sure you deal with naysayers all the time. Like, when can we actually have some optimism?
Yeah, well, it's highly opinionated people without facts.
Absolutely. And, it kind of goes along the theme of when you apply the facts, you run into trouble, right?
Then you wind up having to prove the obvious.
Right. You look at what they're going through with the Kingstonian, and, I mean, it's to a point where you just wonder, like, how much patience do the developers have?
Well, it isn't just patience; it's money.
Right, and that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to bleed them dry, and I, unlike Steve Prusso, I'm not going to name names, but I submitted a letter to the Common Council in support of the project, and I said there's one fundamental difference between the people that oppose it and the developers. People that oppose it, every storefront they own in Uptown Kingston is empty.
Right. Absolutely correct.
But have the money to file lawsuit after lawsuit. And now the head of our school board at a personal level is involved. What in God's name is the head of the school board getting involved with a lawsuit against a development that, I'm sorry, you do not, Jim, you do not understand economics, basic economics, and how a pilot works.
Right.
And I know that it has been explained to you on like a fourth grade level, and you still aren't able to you have any idea the future revenue that project will create for your school district, but you're involved in a lawsuit against them. I would question how a public official that represents our school district can get involved with a lawsuit against a development that benefits our community, and there's no repercussions on that. Blows my mind. But again, Jim, 3 open mics, 7 to 9 every other Friday. Love for you to come on. I know you won't.
Yeah, I personally think Kingstonia is a no-brainer for Uptown Kingston. It's a draw for Exit 19 and Ulster County besides that, not just Uptown Kingston. We have other established businesses up there who would benefit from the traffic that will be there, not to mention the parking garage. We have a sore need for parking. It's a very difficult circumstance.
I've said it from day one. I went to college in Burlington, Vermont, and Church Street in Burlington is like one of the most happening little streets in America.
Right.
Yeah. And I said from the beginning, once they laid out the plan, I said Wall Street will become Church Street. it'll be packed, right? What's wrong with that? You wanted affordable housing rammed into it. It's in there now. Like, I logically, I have a hard time. I guess I'll say it this way. I wish people that oppose things like this would put their energy towards something positive. Here's the bottom line. The project's getting built, right? It's going to be built.
I certainly hope so.
Why not get involved? I could direct you to 5 organizations right now that would welcome help, that make a difference in the community. But you want to drive your energy towards something so negative and, create confusion. And it blows my mind. Like, think about any building that's owned in Uptown Kingston and that shovels break ground. What happens to that real estate value of a building in Uptown Kingston once a Kingstonian breaks ground?
It's got to be strong.
Correct. What's wrong with that?
Nothing's wrong with that.
But that's what I just, you look at, and I made a note about Jim Quigley because I'd like to talk to him. But, when people oppose, I'm sure you've dealt with redevelopment or repurpose
Absolutely.
Of buildings. Like, and you don't have to give specifics of one, but just kind of give an example of what is maybe persuaded versus what, like, I buy a building, I want to reuse it, and the nonsense I have to go through to get to that.
Planning boards are difficult. They don't understand what somebody wants to build, what they want to bring to the.
Why is it so hard to understand?
I think it's a lack of education on the part of the people who are on planning boards in general, not all of them.
Right.
I don't want to cast disparagements in that manner, but it's always another question. You go to a meeting, things look good, and they ask you to do 3 or 4 new things and bring it back to the next month, and then it's done all over again to the next meeting and the 3rd meeting and the 4th meeting.
So generally on a planning board, and I'm just, kind of a generic question, out of, say there's 10 people on the planning board, how many people on that board have ever built anything?
Well, that's a good question. I don't think I can answer that realistically, but I think we find a lot of opinions on planning boards that, again, going back to whatever is factual and what isn't, strictly opinion. And many times it's unfounded. But you can't say anything negatively about that because they're really the ones in control.
Yeah, and just because it's real and it's local, and you look at all this pushback on the Kingstonian, like, where were these people 5 years ago? Yeah, I got a very, disdained response because I asked a question one night on Facebook, like, to anybody that opposed it, this is an open RFP from the city. You're so against it, or you want the affordable housing, or whatever why you hate this project. Why didn't you respond to the RFP? Now, you would have thought I asked for their firstborn.
Probably, yes.
But again, the facts didn't line up. Well, I'm sorry, you don't have the money or the understanding, or, we could go on and on and on. And that's what, I just struggle with. Like, I give you, I joke, friends of mine in real estate all the time, you got a lot more patience than me, right? Because you might be working a deal and it's coming close, and now there's an environmental issue.
Sure.
And that's probably quite prevalent around here.
It would be. In many cities it is.
Yeah. And that's something that's obviously completely out of your control, but something that a buyer or seller has to address, correct?
Well, they have to address that, and the person who's presenting the property, i.e. me, we need to ask the hard questions up front of the seller. We need to know what they have to say about possible environmental issues and so on. And to spread it out a little bit, down in New Paltz in the farmlands, it's an area that was hit hard 30 years ago with environmental issues due to the chemicals used in growing apples and farming and so on. Farms are one of the worst contributors to environmental issues. Believe it or not, everybody thinks a farm is a great place. It certainly is. You can grow a lot of product there, but it's taken 40 years to get out of the complexity of chemicals that are harmful to us.
Yeah, it's, people don't think about, that. You hear, about GE or Central Hudson or not Central Hudson, IBM. But you're right, the farms are, I remember when, Rolling Meadows, where I grew up, years and years ago, was a farm. And when we lost our mom to cancer, she was 58 years old. And so a family friend brought up that, we should have, I think it's the radon test done. Fortunately, it didn't come back, but, you need to, again, try and find answers. So luckily it didn't, but, I've kind of didn't understand that whole thing at the time. And, we talked through it like, well, yeah, it used to be a farm and they treated it with chemicals and, you might not think of that, but.
Well, that's right. And by the way, I have to say that realtors' feet are held to the fire over the issue of any environmental issue or anything that is negative about a property. Once it is mentioned to us and we become informed that there is an issue, we are obligated to present that issue to any potential buyer.
Yep.
Otherwise, we could lose our license.
Yeah, and I'm on the insurance side, so I know it from that angle, and, it's interesting where, certain things make it to the media and are presented to make it sound awful.
Right.
And then, without getting into any detail, then you talk to the owner of the property, and they've already taken more steps than required to address an issue, environmental issue. And here's the actual findings.
Right.
But you read in the local newspaper like the building's going to melt into the ground the next day.
Yeah, right.
And now you've got tenants that are, very concerned. But
very true.
I know you got some notes there, so I don't want to.
Well, just a few things. I'd like to one of the things I wanted to mention, I would interrupt this conversation briefly about one thing. A local icon here, Uncle Willie, lost his brother this week, and I just wanted to shout out to Uncle Willie that we wish him the best and his family. Great guy, local icon, Uncle Willie.
So just to comment on that, I would venture to guess Uncle Willie doesn't know my name to this day, but I had the great fortune for 10 years, I was the head of registration for the Shamrock Run.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. What I learned was, so Bobby Ryan, who's my cousin, gets me involved when he was, chairing it, and they make it sound like it's the greatest responsibility of the whole run. Well, it's the most god-awful, right? You got 4,000 people coming to register for this run, and when people have a complaint, who do they come to? Me, right? So it's like battle fire.
Right.
But the highlight of doing that, Uncle Willie was our unofficial starter. So I used to bring the cannon up, and there he was on his megaphone, and we would chat, right?
Yeah.
And we just, whatever fun stuff, I'd let him know when the cannon was ready, and he'd do his thing. And now I pass him uptown or whatever, and he just always, gives me the waves. So sorry to hear that, but a great local guy.
Yes, he is. Back to real estate. I'm one of only a few realtors locally whose sole purpose is investment grade real estate, commercial property. We have to be trained specially for this purpose. And I have personally found it difficult to, in the past, and I haven't done anything about residential housing in 15 years, But it's difficult to be a master of two issues. So I want to stress that a commercial realtor, if you're buying a commercial building, is the person to go see.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm glad you brought that up because I had a question about that. You know, you hear more and more on the commercial side, you know, small businesses, what have you, coming to town or, you know, investing here. Are you continuing to see that? Is there still pretty heavy interest in?
There is heavy interest from outside, and we're seeing an increase in the interest from local businesses expanding.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Which is really, really good news, which, you know, again, for all the naysayers out there, this is what makes our community go.
That's right.
So, you know, you hear, and I see it, you know, a lot of interest, like from the Brooklyn area and things. Are you still?
Well, that's strong. Yeah, it's Brooklyn is kind of a single word draw here.
Yeah,
but it's
that's a good way to put it because it's not all there, right?
No, it's people from Long Island are coming up. South Jersey, we're seeing that from that aspect also.
So, I mean, you know, I want to be somewhat cognizant of what I say, but, you know, I know the one reason there's empty buildings in uptown Kingston, but is the demand as much as we hear? Like, and I know these things it takes a while to buy or sell a commercial building.
Right.
Way longer than it should, by the way. But I guess it's a kind of a backwards way of asking, is the interest level as high as I hear?
Well, I guess it is. The interest level is quite high. I think one of the drawbacks is back to the Kingstonian. Parking is a problem.
Yep.
I see that thankfully we got rid of the intrusion on parking spaces by the local restaurants. I understand they had to do that in order to retain.
Yeah, I mean, uptown Kingston
But I
is
hope that
brutal.
that doesn't come back when the weather changes. We need that parking. And I think everybody's got to live by it. I just wanted to get, I want to explain one thing about commercial real estate. A lot of people say, well, a house is an investment. Well, maybe it is an investment, a personal investment, but your payday isn't until you sell it. And maybe that's in 30 years or 5 years, depending on what your interest is. But in commercial real estate, that is supposed to generate income, and the investment grade level, that's what we are schooled in. That's the reason I do commercial real estate. I live and breathe it.
Yeah, and it kind of dovetails to, right, housing's an issue. And again, I think we can all agree to that. But subsidized housing doesn't solve the problem in and of itself. I mean, you look at how many units have been added just in the last 5 years,
Sure.
right? But if I'm bringing a business here, I need a place to live.
Well, that's very true. And I have property, we're looking at apartment developments on Morton Boulevard. I've got a long-term plan for 72 townhouses on Lucas Avenue across from the Spring Lake Fire Department.
Which, again, that property, you've had that for
many years.
And now there's finally something.
Well, I've been working on that property with the owner for about 12 years, and but we got water. We have Spring Lake water there now. We have the sewer line extension, which is approved, and the money's in the bank, according to Jim Quigley, to extend down to
That's
the
right.
property.
So that's town of Ulster.
So once we have a sewer line connection and the water connection, municipal services, we can begin to really promote this property. It's been held up because of the lack of that.
Yeah, and that's the part people don't see, right?
Right.
It's
I get questions. You still got that property for sale? You haven't sold that property yet. Well, no, it's not going to get sold until we have all the municipal services in line, and a developer can put a shovel in the ground and turn it into what it should be.
Yeah, and it's just Can the government please get out of people's way who are trying to do good things?
Well, I want to say that it's about the fifth time I've mentioned Jim Quigley, and he's very helpful. And he wants to make things right.
Well, you look at, he's a businessman.
Yes.
And a very, very successful businessman that, God help him, I don't know why he chose to get into politics, but, it seems when business people get involved in politics, again, I know Jim to say hello to him, but I don't know him very well. I don't think he did it for his own personal benefit.
I agree with you.
I think he did it for the good of the order. And thank God for people like him. I mean, you look at Mike Bloomberg when he was the mayor of New York City until he decided to give himself a third term, which was wrong.
Right.
He did a lot of really great things in New York City. And then he got fueled by politics and went too far. But,
right, yeah.
God bless him for all the other people. And I can't even give the third example because, people's hair start catching on fire. But, when you do things for the good of the order, good things happen. And, what do we have, Lawrence, 3 minutes, 2 minutes left?
3 minutes left for the last show of the year.
Right.
What a great year it was for Kingston.
Parting gift from Bob Baum.
Well, not really a gift. This is
You're going to buy us this building and give it to us. We don't have to pay rent anymore.
Got to talk to him. No, I would be remiss and not self-serving if I didn't say that I've got a flower farm in Millbrook for sale.
Flower farm? Interesting.
I never knew that.
For $1 million. We got 6,000 square feet in commercial building on Churchland Road up in Saugerties for $700,000. We've got interest. I have 2 meetings this morning on it, talk about activity going on.
Yep.
Probably 20 different space leases between Saugerties. I manage 3 strip malls and some local options as well. So,
Bob, that parcel on Lucas Avenue, is that still available?
Yeah, we were just talking about that.
Yeah, we were just talking about that.
How many lots is that?
Well, it's not lots. It's a 17-acre development.
Parcel,
and
okay.
My plan for that is 72 townhouses. And if there's any developers out there, bring your money. Call me because now we are on.
As long as it's not Neil Bender, yes.
We're on the. Well, I'm not going to make that statement, but
I will. That guy's a jerk. Well, he's the guy that's trying to stonewall the Kingstonian.
Well, yeah, right. Yeah. So
I'll turn it back to you.
Yeah. Well, Bob, thank you for coming
Bob,
in.
Thanks for coming in.
You're one of the few to answer the call on a holiday.
Yeah. Hey, Bob, I noticed that the Spa 21 sign fell down outside. Is that because you're making them the new one?
Well, no. It's not a high priority on my list.
Okay.
I have my sign shop for primarily my own use.
When I call Bob for a sign, it's up like within 2 hours.
Well, you're different.
Thank you, Bob. I appreciate that.
But, as we close out 2021, I hope to God we can have a more positive.
I hope next year we're sitting right here at this time, Dan, and we're saying what a great year 2022 was.
Yeah, and I really hope, you know what, and that's a great point. I would love a year from now to be back in front of this microphone.
Let's make a couple predictions. We got 50 seconds left. I predict that Eric Adams is going to get rid of bail reform. He's going to go to the lawmakers up in Albany and say, listen, I need the crime to die in New York City or you're going to lose, people are going to stop voting for Democrats. They're going to get, I predict that in 2022 they're going to hopefully, with my fingers are crossed, you see this, that the state lawmakers, like the Kevin Cahills and the Michelle Hinchies and our New York State Assembly and our legislators will go back and vote this bail thing and get bail back for, there's no way people should be getting pushed onto subway tracks. The crime in Kingston, the crime all across the state. Until I read that article a couple months back about Rochester, I had no idea that they were dealing with the kind of crime that they were dealing with. So that's my prediction.
My prediction is this: divide dies. Right? We watch it in the night, and I meant to bring this up earlier. In the 1960s, we were where we are today. Right?
Right.
If you want to get an unpolitical, because you won't say it's unpolitical, but it is because I read it. Read Killing Kennedy. What went on in the 1960s is what's going on today. The difference, it's amplified by social media. So I'm going to close the year by inviting anybody that wants to come on to fill these 3 seats every other Friday to talk about how we can work together.
There you go.
Beautiful.
Happy New Year, everybody. Lawrence, thanks for having us.
Yep, we'll see you in 2 weeks. Happy New Year, Bob.
Take care. Thanks.